Welcome to the Thriving Woman Project podcast, hosted by myself, Wendy Griffith. This is the podcast for women who want to level up and thrive in all areas of your life, health, and business. Join us as we cover a range of topics, all inspiring you to thrive and not just survive. We are here to work on the project of you, because I believe the best gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy and thriving you. It's time to thrive. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of the Thriving Woman Project podcast. And I am so excited to bring you today's guest, which is the lovely Michelle Sutherland, who is one of my business besties, someone I look up to, admire so much for, I think, just really the way that you embrace life and the way that you make sort of your business, your health, your life, it all fits together so synergistically. And it's just so inspiring to watch your journey. And I just know the listeners are going to get so much from hearing from you today. So welcome, Michelle.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And this must feel a bit weird for you because you have your own incredible I've Got Your Back, the podcast. And so now the roles are reversed. I've got you on the
I kind of like it though. I kind of like when it changes up and you're the person just getting asked questions, because I think sometimes it's easier. You're just like, yeah, okay, I can answer that, you know? So it's good to mix things up.
And also it's quite cool getting like a whole little segment to talk about yourself. Like we don't often get to talk about ourselves, so that's quite cool. Although I do know you are a very humble person. So, but yeah, I'm excited to get stuck into the content today. So just before we get going, just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, like all the things we need to know about you.
Wow. So obviously my name is Michelle. I call myself a social entrepreneur, which some of you may have not heard of before, but essentially I am an entrepreneur that really thinks about the businesses and the projects and the people that I work with. And for me, it's really about anything that I do from an entrepreneurial point of view has to have a positive social or environmental impact, or a positive impact on people or my community or the planet. So I've really grown into that. It's not like I've been that for like all my years in my career, but it's something that I've grown into. So that's what I do. So I have multiple businesses with that intention in mind. In terms of where I come from, originally from a small town called Paisley, outside Glasgow in Scotland. Definitely a person who had a sort of, from a young age, about 15 years old, had this sort of curiosity about what was outside of Paisley, what was outside of a small town, and travel and different things. And for me, I've always had ambitions to travel the world, meet different cultures, meet different people. I lived in Australia for 12 years, so I actually do have 2 passports. I'm a Scozzie, as I like to say, and I've just returned after living in Australia for over a decade because my heart pulled me back to Scotland to I feel as if, you know, I've gone all around the houses, done all these amazing projects and work, and had an amazing experience in Australia and got to see and experience so many amazing things. And it's almost bringing all of that wisdom and knowledge and experience back to Scotland, back to my roots, to really make a positive impact here with everything that I know. So that's where I'm sort of at. And at the moment, I know I've been working with you, Wendy, on this, but I'm really working on my word for this year, which is simplicity. So being really clear on what I'm doing, what I'm offering. So right now, I'm really focusing on 4 different ways of being of service to people, like, because I have learned a lot, and I know I've got a lot of value in education to give. And I really believe education, when you educate people on certain things, it can be so empowering. So for me, it's just about, I've got my main business I've had for 14 and a half years with Arbonne. So essentially I help people with wellness programs and products. I help people start a business with Arbonne if that's what they choose to do. I also help people become B Corp certified, which is through my company Definity. And not only do we do that, but we also educate young people about social entrepreneurship and B Corp. And lastly, the Power of 8, the Wellbeing Program, is something that I've literally just launched. But that's my fourth thing. That's my fourth thing for this year. And yeah, that's where that's a little bit of me and where I'm at and what I'm working on at the moment.
It's amazing. And I want to touch on the social entrepreneurship and the B Corp, because I think that's something that's so pivotal and key now in the world. Like, we have changed so much. We've become sort of such conscious consumers. And I know that you're really passionate about that. And I loved all your messaging sort of over the festive period, where you were just sort of challenging people, I think, to really think about, like, is this a necessary spend? Do I need to buy more? Do I need all the things? And just getting people to think more consciously about, you know, their sort of footprint, their impact on the world, all that kind of thing. And I love the fact that you have 2 passports, because I have 2 passports myself. So welcome to the 2 passport club. Although I just call myself a Safa, which is a South African. I need to come up with a cool, like, Scozzy, but like a South African Brit. Yeah, I'm not really anything off the top of my head there. But no, it's so interesting, because I think as well, like, you'll probably appreciate, like, your heart's in 2 places. Like, I absolutely love, you know, being able to call 2 places home. Although now I have consciously shifted to saying, you know, I'm going back to South Africa to visit, and then I'm coming back home, because I think psychologically for me, for so many years, it was really this pull emotionally for me, where I was like, I'm going home, but it was like, but this is my home, and where's my home, and you know, all that kind of thing. And then I just know that, you know, you meet so many incredible people. And I often challenge myself to think, right, if someone said, like, waved a magic wand tomorrow and you could just be back in South Africa, you know, living in Cape Town, where I choose to live, and have all, you know, and I'd be like, but I wouldn't want to not have England, because, you know, and all the experiences. But I think that just contributes to having a really rich life and all those different things, those amazing people. And I know you're connected with people and have, you know, your business across the world now as a result.
Yeah, and I'll just say on that about home, you know, I read this once, and it said, you know, sometimes home is 2 eyes looking back at you. And I think that's really powerful, because sometimes we think about physical places in the world being home. I mean, basically from an idealistic point of view, the whole world's our home, like planet Earth is our home, because that's where we're born. It just so happens to be in different countries, but essentially, if we think of it in a bigger context, it's like the whole planet's our home. So whenever we end up with 2 eyes in front of us, in a warm heart, I think that's where it is.
I absolutely love that. And also, I think it gives us that ownership, as you say, because planet Earth is our home, and that's why it's so important for us to, you know, have a positive impact in the place that we are, whatever that might be. And I know that's a huge passion of yours. So yeah, I mean, talk to me a little bit more about the social entrepreneur side of things. And I know that you're doing amazing stuff in Scotland, and you're on boards and all sorts of things, and just that sort of B Corp journey, because a lot of people still maybe don't know about B Corp, but maybe they kind of buy in shops and they're seeing the logo on things and they're like, what's B Corp?
Yeah, I mean, essentially B Corp is, you know, in a very simple term, it's a third-party certification that measures a company's social and environmental impact across every single area of their business, from their governance, their strategy, their mission, to how they treat their employees, their workers, to the impact they have in community, the suppliers that they choose to use, to the environmental impact of them delivering that service or product. So the energy usage, the water usage, the impact in customers. Do they have, you know, really good customer service? So it's really looking across the entire company, and it's known to be very rigorous. You know, I have helped multiple businesses go through this, and it is rigorous and it is deep work and it does take time. But what I've found from a business point of view is this framework, this assessment that you have to go through to become a B Corp, it's almost like a framework, a blueprint to create a really ethical business that really thinks about everyone, not just shareholders, and, you know, giving money back to them as a return. I think we've moved a lot in business where, you know, it was very capitalistic, where it was very much like make profit at all costs. That's the sole purpose of a business. Whereas now we've evolved as humans, and I think a lot of our values have changed. And so, you know, building a business just for profit doesn't actually align with most people anymore, whether you're aware of it or not. It just doesn't feel right. So it's making sure that B Corp is a framework and a movement and a community of businesses. There's 8,000 globally now. And we're coming together to really redefine and challenge what business is and what it means. And it's trying to have more of a balance around your purpose, around the impact on people, the impact on the community, the impact on the planet. So essentially from a business point of view, that's what it is. And it is really resonating with a lot of people. I'd say from more of a consumer point of view, an everyday person, and I think it's not about, like you said in the newsletters I was sending out, work Christmas is challenging what we're spending money on. And it's not saying don't buy anything, but it's just saying, could you repurpose something? Could you buy secondhand? Could you, could you actually buy something more quality that's going to last longer rather than buying something cheap? And I know in certain situations that might be not affordable for a lot of people to go and buy something a bit more, but it's just really being more mindful about our choices.
So,
and I think,
and you see things you
see in Vinted, there's classic, there's a lot of stuff that's on there, brand new with labels on it that, you get half price, but it's never been worn, or it's been worn once or twice. I mean, the reality is, especially in the fashion industry, there's way too much. And, you only need to see a couple of images of certain countries where literally all of our waste in terms of clothes are dumped into massive pits of land. And we just think, how can we do that? And I don't think most people realize where that ends up. The stuff that they're chucking out, even if it goes to charity shop, there's actually too much. We have consumed and created way, way too much. And it's about sort of making different choices now. And I would just say, if you're a consumer, to look for that bee, it's like a little blank bee with a circle around it. Because, and it's not, B Corp's application is not perfect, but I think I actually look for it now when I go to work with someone, if it's a service or if it's a product, because I just know that they're taking more care, that they are doing better than the average business. And so I think it really empowers people, because you go, I'm going to put my money with companies that are doing good stuff or have a mission, that have some sort of social purpose. Even social enterprises are in that space as well. And spending with social enterprises, these are community businesses that really, might be employing people with disadvantages and getting into the workforce, are barriers to the workforce, or they might be working in diversity. There's just all these elements, all these opportunities that we have as people to actually give money to other people that are doing good things, and to be more mindful about what we're doing.
I think that's so important, because I think, a lot of people are being so much more conscious, maybe sort of eating less meat, or, meat free, going vegan because of the impact on the planet. But actually just in our consumerism of everyday stuff, that is such everyday stuff that we can have an impact. Maybe when we live in a world where we sometimes feel like we don't have much control over the higher powers that be and everything. So looking for social enterprises is so important. Do you feel overwhelmed or just a bit stuck with how to market your online business? Maybe you've dabbled a bit, or you've followed various advice you've gleaned online, but something is still not clicking for you. If you're feeling unsure about how to reach your ideal clients so that you can serve and help them like you were called to do, then you may want to check out my Thriving Biz Club. This is my program for wellness business owners who are destined to grow a thriving online business. In it, we cover topics like branding and speaking to your ideal customer, selling on social media, creating your first automated funnel, and nurturing your growing online audience through email marketing. But what makes this extra special is the community and accountability that comes with it. Join us for ongoing support with our monthly coaching and co-working sessions, as well as our WhatsApp community where we share for accountability and take inspiration from others. We also become your personal cheerleaders in business. The Thriving Biz Club is the program I've created that I wish I'd had when I first started my business over a decade ago. To learn more, go to the link in the show notes of this episode, because you deserve to create a healthy, sustainable, and thriving online business without the stress and hustle. But I know for you, it's been a journey. You have, evolved so much as a person, over the 14 years that I've known you now, as a result of both of us meeting through our Arbonne businesses. And like, I love following your wellness journey as well, because that's truly inspiring. And I know you've got some big goals for this year, and you've got some big challenges that you've signed up to, and all sorts. So you're always sort of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. But those are kind of the highlights of like Michelle and all the great stuff that you're doing. But maybe we can just touch on sort of in this next part on maybe sort of a time in your life where you were perhaps at sort of a really low place, and you know, it's not the highlight reel, the low light reel.
And what real life reel.
Real life, exactly. Because we know social media is the highlight reel of what you want people to see. So tell us more about sort of maybe a low point and how you maybe work to overcome that.
Yeah. You know, I know I've shared this with you, and I've shared it on social media, like pretty much nearly 8 years ago to the month. So this is my 8th year. I remember August 2016, I was literally on the floor in a heap with a broken relationship. I had very brutally split up with my ex, and my health was at an all-time low. Financially, I was okay, but I'd say my habits around money were not great. So I could earn money, but the way I spent it was not ideal, and I developed a lot of limiting beliefs from a really, really young age around money and having money, and actually just I didn't know how to invest and spend and put it into places that would make me money back. So I was really like uneducated on that. I was literally living in my friend's spare bedroom, and I just did all this stuff. Like when I talk about stuff, I had boxes and bags and an obscene amount of clothes and shoes and bags, and I just felt so empty. Like I literally had broken my major intimate relationship, had come to an end. I was literally living in my friend's spare bedroom. I had money coming in, but I had bad financial habits around how I was spending that. I really wasn't into anything deeper beyond what I was doing. So there was no sort of, even though I was brought up Catholic, there was no, like I didn't have a strong sort of spiritual belief, or like I believed in something bigger, but I didn't deepen the sort of inner me. You know, I did feel as if there was much depth there now looking back. I honestly, I was just very broken. I just realised that at the end of that relationship, I was just in this pit, and it seemed like every part of me was broken. And it took that low point, and I was sort of posting along thinking everything was fine. But when I got on that floor, I realised, God, how am I going to pick myself up from here? And so I had a choice, right? So I had a choice like what to do, and I thought, and luckily, and I think this is really important, I had really good people around me. So Alex, who's actually is in my Arbonne team, she came around to help me get off the floor, and she recommended I watch this documentary, I'm Not Your Guru, on Netflix by Tony Robbins. And I had heard of Tony Robbins before, but I'd never seen this insight as to how he really helped people through his sort of showcase event almost. And so I watched that documentary, and I was so unbelievably inspired and moved by the work that he was doing with individuals at this event. And I thought, I'm just going to Google and see when he's next in Sydney. And literally 2 weeks later, I was on the floor. 2 weeks later, I was at his conference, just
no way,
fully, like, honestly, eyes open, blown away. Every belief that I had, every health sort of education I had, like he literally went through this, the whole different parts of your well-being, what should I call now, like every single part. And he just like challenged every single thing that I was doing or had been doing up until that point. So then I decided from then, it was such a profound experience that I thought, I am literally going to do a 180. And everything that I was doing, I just like lots of stuff, not all at the one time, but bit by bit, I just shifted my mindset so quickly. It was just a really profound impact. So I would suggest anyone that's never been near Tony Robbins, I highly recommend it, because it's one of these bucket list items that you would never experience in your life. And he's very, very unique in that way, because he's been doing it for 30, 40 years. So from that point, and, you know, I just slowly but surely over the last 8 years, I've worked on all those different parts of myself, like the health was the first one. Like, I really wasn't eating the things that fueled me, and I didn't realize the connection between what I put in my mouth actually gives me the energy to be able to do what I want to do. So there was a couple of key things. I gave up alcohol the next year for a year, and I've not drank since. I always wanted to
experiment. You weren't like, right, I'm giving up alcohol. You were like, right, no, yeah, I'm not going to drink alcohol.
And 1 year, I was just like, I'm just going to experiment. I'm just going to see. I'm going to commit to 1 year and see how I felt. And I wasn't a huge drinker, but I would not really drink during the week, and then I'd go out and party at weekend, right? So it was almost like I saved everything for the weekend. But I remember just thinking, imagine like what it could be like. Let's just experiment. And I think experiment is such a great word because it doesn't feel as like hard. You just like,
this is such a major challenge. It's like, I'm just going to see. Let's try.
I'm just going to see what it does. And honestly, within a couple of months, I felt incredible. My clarity, my energy, just everything. Like, I just felt as if for the first time I was actually fitting into the body I was given. Like, my cheekbones started to come in. It was just all this stuff. My skin started to change. All this stuff started to happen. And that's when I realized, wow, like what I'm putting in my body matters. And so I very much focused on the health. But then I started to move into, because I was focused on that, I started going to bed earlier, getting up earlier. So this is the ripple effect that starts to happen. And then I started doing yoga and meditation. I'd never done yoga. I'd never done meditation. So I started going to a few classes. Then I was like, I feel really good. So I started to really tap in to my emotions. I was I was definitely in grief from the previous relationships. So I was working through the emotions, the learnings, like all of those things. So I started to get more in touch with my emotions. I started to get a lot more spiritually connected to what I believe in, my values. I got so much more connected to my values. Started, like, my friend circle started to change slightly because I wasn't drinking and I was getting up earlier. So I met all these new people that was really in the wellness space. So then they would share stuff with me and I would learn more. So it was just this ripple effect. And then slowly but surely what I've realized over these 8 years is I've literally looked at every part of my well-being. So financial habits, health habits, relationship habits, and even environmental. Like, I would say that's probably been the last, and that's what I've ended up totally changing my career, because a lot of people say to me, like, how come you're in B Corp, like, we use in sustainability? And I was like, no, like, I've never been in sustainability. But what happened was, as I started to look after my own well-being, you start to get into nature more. So that was a part of my journey. Then I started to realize, well, look at the amazingness of this planet, but look at what we're actually doing to it. So I started to really tune into, like, the environmental impact that I was having as a person. I started to declutter. I started not to buy as much. Like, I stopped buying. I started to buy secondhand, to gift, to reuse. And I just started all these environmental things. And then again, because you start to learn more in that space, you meet other people that are in that space too. So I met someone who knew about B Corp, told me B Corp, and I was like, this is the best thing. This is the future of business. Like, I need to learn about this. So I literally went from zero knowledge. And then 3 years later, maybe a year later, building a consultancy that helps companies do it. And I've learned all these things about sustainability I didn't know. So like, even my career I've changed, because once you sort of work on one part of your well-being, it sort of triggers the other. Like, I've got this wheel, and it's almost like once you do one thing and they're like, so once you start to be more open and curious, you start to meet people in that space. Then those people inspire you. So then intellectually you start to more, which is another part of your well-being, actually. And then, all the different parts of your well-being feed one another. And that's why it's so important to look holistically, rather than, I just see people focus on fitness, or they just focus on their career, but they have no relationship. They don't have a meaningful relationship, and they maybe want a family, and they're just focused on their career. So it's like, how can you start to tune in? And it's not about changing everything at the one time. It's just like a gradual process shift to a different things. Yeah, it's a process, and it's ongoing, and it's even now, I'm still learning things about myself, and, slightly changing different habits and things. Like fitness, I'm getting more into, more than I ever have, because I'm actually enjoying the process of learning a new art of fitness. I've started dancing again. Like, I had danced for 15 years, 20 years, teaching dance, like using that other part of my brain. So it's like, the reason you feel well and energized every day is because you're feeding all these different parts of your well-being. It's not just one or the other.
I think that's so important.
I don't know if that's a good question, but I went off on a rant there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, you've just summarized in a nutshell what a health coach does is we look at all these different elements of a person's life. And that's the work I love doing, because someone might come to me because, they might want to lose weight or, like get healthier. But actually, we have to look at other areas that are impacting, and the habits and the limiting beliefs. And there's so much underpinning why you are like, I love that quote where it says, who you are today is as a result of the decisions and the habits that you've made and that you've had up until now. And that's so true. So in order to do something different, you've got to shift those habits, you've got to shift those behavior patterns, and that requires going deep and doing the work. And I just think sometimes people maybe feel stuck or they've been in the same place for a while. It's because, they're scared. It's, because it's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And I know you had that recently, and I loved what you shared on social media recently about sort of two things that are really pushing you out of a comfort zone this year. I mean, you've signed up to do the High Rocks Challenge, which some of you know about. It's definitely one that I've got my eye on, but I'm like,
on a slowly.
It's a really incredible physical competition and challenge.
The most challenging fitness, they call it a race. I wouldn't even say it's a race, but the most challenging fitness test that you could take on.
It's really just racing yourself. Like, you don't have to see it as,
Yeah, it's yourself. It's just to see if you could actually do it. For people that don't know, it's 1 kilometer, then you do a workout station. You do 8 different workout stations in 8 kilometers. So it's 1 kilometer workout station, 1 kilometer, but it is like, the workout station is like 1,000 meters on a rower, or burpees for like 500 meters, or wall ball throws for like 75.
Those look like a killer.
And it's not the last exercise. It's just when you're really, really angry.
Legs are burning, when you're like,
legs are burning, everything's gone, and you're like, let's just chuck this ball 75 times. So, I do think it's important because, nothing great ever comes from like being in your comfort zone, and you can actually change. Like, I think people always want to change and aspire to these things, but you're not willing to challenge yourself that little bit, or change a habit, or try something different. And really, that's the only way that you're going to achieve the real things you want to, or experience different things. And we as humans, we only use this tiny amount of our brains. Like, it's unbelievable how much we don't use the full capacity. And it's all about trying to challenge that, trying to use a bit more of like your physical and your mind. And I just love anything that challenges all those things, because you're a far greater human once you work through that. And, despite what happens as outcome, like, I'm not even interested in the outcome. What I'm interested in is the fact I'm willing to feel that fear, that sort of doubt, listen to that voice, feel scared. The fact that I'm still feeling all of those things, they don't go away, but I'm still willing to go forward and step in the arena. I'm still willing to put myself in.
Yeah, that's such a huge part of it, because I think what people think is, oh gosh, there's fear, there's doubt, that means I mustn't do it. And it's like, no, that is when you have to do it. You have to lean in. And obviously, it's about, being sensible about that and making sure that, you're staying safe. And
you're safe. But
at the same time, your brain is designed to make you feel safe. So of course it's going to say to you, no, you don't want to go out and exercise. You don't want to eat that healthy meal. Like, you'd rather grab a Mac and Cheese or KFC. Like, that's far more tasty. Like, your brain is always going to keep you safe, and it's going to keep you in a comfort zone and safe options. So if your safe options and your comfort zone are those easy choices, well, guess what? Your brain's just going to keep, your reticular activating system at the front of your brain is just going to keep showing you more of the comfort stuff. So you stay stuck and you don't move forward. Exactly. So I think that's so powerful. And then, just touching on that, I know recently you have launched your new Power of 8 program, and that is really a program designed around these 8 different elements that you have worked through systematically over the last 8 years to incredible transformation and change in your life. So that's something that you're now able to help others with.
Yeah. And I feel like I wasn't expecting it, as I've shared with you, Wendy, but sometimes something comes to you, like it's real intuition. And it's something that an idea will just come. And I think that comes because I've been working on clearing.
You're so good at listening to your gut and listening to your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you get clear and you're feeding your gut the right stuff and you're feeding your mind the good stuff and you're in nature, most days, like you start to really, like, I get ideas all the time, but sometimes, and as an entrepreneur, I get ideas all the time. And it's tricky, but there's something that comes along and you cannot get rid of it. And it'll just every day is coming. And I would say it's like God's work. It's like, here you go, here you go, here you go. This has been given to you. Yes. And it's always a choice whether you take it on or not. And I think a lot of people get scared of that. It comes, especially entrepreneurs, or just everyday people, like, that this is niggling, but you sort of ignore it. But I actually actively don't, especially if it keeps on coming. So that was how the Power of 8 was formed, because it kept coming every single day, and I'd get another bit that would make up the program and how it would work and what people were going to experience and who it would help and different things. So yeah, I launched it last week, and it's essentially taking 8 people, because this is the year of 8, so 2024 and 8 means abundance, it means success, it means recognition for all the good work you've been doing, everything coming back to you. Karmic is a very karmic year, being an 8. So when I looked into the numerology of 8, I was like, wow, this is so powerful. And 8 is my favorite number because it's infinity. And I do believe in infinite growth. I believe that anyone can change, can evolve, can expand. Anyone can do that, but we're not always tapped into it. And there are infinite possibilities and opportunities for anyone, absolutely anyone. And so I wanted to create this program to take 8 people through the 8 dimensions of well-being that I've worked through, and the sort of key things, like share the key things in each of those, but more importantly, work individually with these 8 people and really personalize that dimension, those 8 dimensions, because it might be that someone is flying in their career, is making good money, but their health is not working. Yeah. So it's just about whoever that individual is that comes to me. It's like, okay, let's really personalize this. And I think the reason I chose that as well, a lot of people out there are doing online programs for hundreds of people. I would much rather have deep, honest, real conversations and transformation one-on-one and do the deep work, because I know when that happens, those individuals will fly and they will go and make such a positive impact. And that's what I want. That's what I want for these 8 people, is to look at all those dimensions, have real personalized mentorship and guidance and a sounding board. It's something that has your back, because I'm very big on that, because a lot of the time when you're trying to change, a lot of people around you at that moment in time don't have your back, and they're going to try and pull you back rather than have your back, right? So I want to be that person for people, because I know throughout my last 8 years, there's been people that have had my back, and that's why I've excelled in different things. It's not like, and we can't do things on our own. We're humans that are here to co-create and to work together and to have each other's back a lot more. So yeah, there's 8 people over 8 months, completely personalized. There's lots of additions in there, like I'm a coach through Fingerprint for Success, which is a tool that looks at your work attitudes and motivation. So if you are looking to maybe change your career, understand more about what you're wanting to do. I think a lot of people out there are not really in careers they love. This is going to help you work out what you're motivated by, because everyone's motivated by different things. And again, that is completely personalized and unique. That's why it's called Fingerprint for Success, because everyone is a unique fingerprint. So we'll do a whole session on that. Yeah, there's like a game that's called Wish 8 that was made by a friend of mine. So you'll get that game, which helps you work through sort of gamifying your wishes and wants in life. And it's a really cool sort of fun thing to do. You can basically call me or text me in between sessions. It's completely open. So it is doing some deep work, but I want really
comprehensive, holistic program.
Yeah, comprehensive. Yeah.
It's going to have such
and also 2 commitments or 2 experiments.
Oh no, don't tell people now. Let it be a surprise.
Okay, guys, I was going to say,
they have to go to the link in the show notes to find out what those are.
Okay,
I'm going to leave them dangling on that. But honestly, like so much wisdom in what you've shared. Like, we could talk for hours and hours, like you and I, and we do quite regularly, backwards and forwards, ideas flying. But I think in the essence of it, like why I wanted the Thriving Women Project listeners to hear from you was just to hear that it is possible to have that transformation, and also just to give themselves grace, to take the pressure off, to know that it's not just an instant fix. It's not an instant journey. No. It is an ongoing journey and evolution. And if you commit to that ongoing personal growth and development and experimentation, I love that from today, like experimenting on things. It's just incredible to see the difference and the impact. And, you know, from where you were 8 years ago to now, with your different businesses and the impact that you have and just living such a fulfilled, rich life. I know that can be a huge inspiration to so many of our listeners. So thank you so much for sharing all of that today. Like, where's the best place for people to find you? Obviously, I'm going to link to the Power of 8 program in the show notes, but where's the best place people can connect with you?
MichelleSutherland.co is my website. It's pretty much all on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn channel. So MichelleSutherland.co is basically where I'm at.
Nice and easy for people. I love that. Like there's always that moment where people share and they're like, and if you go over here and you have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like all about the simplicity. Michelle really practices what she teaches. And I don't say preaches because she doesn't preach. She teaches. She's a heart-centered leader who's all about following your joy, your intuition, your gut. And I just know that when you go and check out all her resources, she's got an incredible gifts on her website. She's got an incredible yoga nidra practice that you can download, which is incredible because actually, just to say, this 20-minute yoga nidra, I'm actually going to put this in the show notes. The equivalent, it's the equivalent of 2 to 3 hours of deep sleep if you just do this 20-minute meditation of hers, which is just amazing. If you're ever feeling weary, that's the thing that you need. It's incredible. And all sorts of other amazing. And I know you've got some exciting new resources coming out to help people with different sort of dimensions of their wellness. And it's just going to be an incredible year. So thank you so, so much, Michelle. I know listeners will get so much.
Thank you so much, Wendy, and thanks for having me. I really am grateful for you and everything you do to have my back and so many other women as well. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you've got value from this, please won't you take 2 seconds to take a screenshot and share a pic of this episode on your socials. Extra points if you'd like to rate and review this podcast on your preferred platform so that we can share the love with more women wanting to thrive in their lives. Do be sure to visit my website, wendygriffith.co.uk, to get all my free resources to support you on your thriving journey. Until next time, God bless, take care of yourself, and keep thriving.